Members of the board, for nearly 6 years, my family has fought for justice in the wake of my sister's tragic death. When Mercedes Martinez was sentenced to 8 years just 3 months ago, we struggled with the outcome, but found some solace in the belief that we would at least have 2 uninterrupted years to begin healing, free from the distress of ongoing court dates and legal battles. Now, with the possibility of her early release, that fragile peace is being shattered. Instead of time to heal, we are once again thrust into uncertainty and turmoil.
Guilty, Your Honor.
66-year-old Mercedes Martinez gave that response 6 times as she took a plea deal for her role in her daughter-in-law's death.
Guilty, Your Honor.
Iris Lopez died at the hospital from a brain bleed 1 day after Martinez and her son Hector Lopez failed to get her the medical help she needed. It happened in November 2018, leaving Iris Lopez's 4 kids without a mom and the rest of her family heartbroken.
It's been 6 long years waiting for something.
On Thursday, there was finally movement in the case. Martinez pleaded guilty to a reduced charge of intentional cruelty to a person, along with hindering prosecution, tampering with evidence, and 3 counts of risk of injury to a minor. In exchange, she'll get 8 years in prison with 5 years probation.
And this is a perfect hearing, a perfect example of the system gaslighting its constituency, because you know what? It is just 3 months from her sentencing date that she is up here for parole. I can almost guarantee you that the victims in this case had no idea that immediately after sentencing, they'd have to sit here today and tell the parole board, please do not release her. Now, this is not only a great example of how the DA is manipulative and how they like to gaslight the system and make us believe that they're tough on crime, but this is also a great example of evil. This is not just someone who made a mistake, someone who, has empathy and really, really understands what she did wrong. No, this is someone who's going to show up at her parole hearing, not only take zero accountability, but she is going to drag her victim, her daughter-in-law, through the mud. So with that, let's jump in. And on a side note, the camera of the inmate, it goes out near the middle-ish of the hearing. I'm sorry about that. This is on the DOC side. So just giving you a heads up.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Mercedes Martinez, 428-549.
Thank you. Ms. Martinez, we're having some technical difficulties with our video streaming today. You can hear us okay, is that correct?
Yes, it's a little bit, a little bit of stuttering, but.
Okay, but you're able to hear and comprehend what we're saying well enough to proceed, okay.
Yes.
But, we don't have video on your end. We can see and hear you, but you can't see us. Are you okay proceeding without being able to see us today?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and proceed then without the audio, without the video being present on your end.
Okay.
Audio only from your end. So this hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Mercedes Martinez, inmate number 428-549. She is serving a sentence of 15 years suspended after 8 years, 5 years probation for tampering with evidence, hindering prosecution, cruelty to persons, and 3 counts of risk of injury. As of today, records reflect parole eligibility date February 26, 2025. There is victim input in the case. There is an offender accountability plan. It has been reviewed and shows the offender has not completed any programming at this time. Utilizing the women's risk needs assessment, one of the offender's overall score for recidivating falls within the low range. Ms. Martinez, this is your opportunity to tell the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
Dear honorable members of the parole board, first and foremost, I want to state to the family of Iris, there is not a day that passes without me thinking of our daughter and the life that was taken from her, from you and from all of us who loved and cared for her. I cannot imagine the depths of your grief or the emptiness left behind. Please know that I am truly sorry for the hurt that was caused. I carry the weight of the memory every day, and I will for the rest of my life. Parole board members, I write this letter with a heavy heart and a deep sense of humility. I know that no words can erase the pain and suffering. The death of Iris is a tragedy for which I am profoundly sorry about. I must state, I do not present this letter to dispute the court's ruling, rather to explain my position and express my commitment to living a lawful and meaningful life if granted parole. Despite the circumstances of my conviction, I have taken personal responsibility for the choices I've made in life that may have led me to this point. In addition, I have made the most use of my time while incarcerated. I have attended certain groups, Bible study, Catholic services, and worked for 4 years in commissary, consistently to better myself. I am prepared to follow all conditions of parole, and I have a clear plan for my reintegration, including finding a job, an apartment, some type of community support, finding and making up for lost time with my children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, whom I miss so dearly. My goal is to contribute positively to society and to continue bettering myself through various support programs. I respectfully ask that you consider my record during incarceration, my conduct, and my sincere desire to re-enter society as a responsible citizen. Thank you for your time, your fairness, and all the important work you do. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your opening statement, Ms. Martinez. So
Yes.
what's gonna happen today is that we're all gonna take turns asking you questions.
Yes,
Then when we're done with that portion, we'll hear from the Office of Victim Services. And then after that, we're gonna deliberate and then we'll give you our answer, okay?
okay.
So we're gonna start the questions today with my colleague, panel member Paul.
Good morning, Ms. Martinez.
Good morning.
So, there was a lot to read when it came to this case. And,
Yes.
I heard your apology. I heard, how this has affected you and the lives of everyone concerned. What happened here? As I read this, seemed evident to me that somebody was there and needed medical attention for quite some time. And people in the house, including yourself, were aware of that. And it just didn't come. What happened? Why?
Okay, what really happened was that that day, my daughter-in-law, Iris, whom I love as a daughter, was sleeping. She used to sleep, drink every night constantly and get intoxicated and sleep all through the day until 5 o'clock in the afternoon every day. So here we were thinking she was sleeping. We didn't know that she had a brain bleed, and we didn't know that she needed medical attention until I noticed that I tried to wake her up, and she wouldn't wake up. So then I called ambulance, and that was it. It wasn't like meaning to purposely leave her there without attention.
But it seems to me that there were other statements made in the house that this isn't how this happened. That there was definitely something wrong with her, and before you went out to go to work, before then, people in the house that noticed that there was something wrong.
The only ones that were there were me and my son, and the only thing that was wrong with her was that she was vomiting, and she laid back to sleep. This was about in the AM, early morning, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, and she went back to sleep. But to our knowledge, she was okay, but she was just drunk, sleeping, and we tried to let her sleep it off to see if she would come clear afterwards. But she was breathing, and we tried to wake her up afterwards, and it finally, I noticed that she needed the ambulance, so I called for an ambulance.
And even with that, you know, it
I regret so much about not calling the ambulance right away. As soon as I'm seeing that she wouldn't wake up, I should have called the ambulance. But because she used to sleep late every day until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 o'clock, I thought that she was, just sleeping.
But even with the ambulance, you know, part of what I read was, you know, you didn't call 911.
I know, and I thought that by me just picking up the phone and saying call the ambulance, it would have been the same thing. It was a mistake. I didn't intentionally try to call somebody else. I just thought that by saying call the ambulance, it would have been the same thing.
So I'm gonna move on. So your criminal history, there's not much there. There was an assault third back in 1980, which was 45 years ago. Sin interfering resisting in 2017.
Can you still hear us?
Yes, now I do.
Okay. I don't know what happened there.
Did you ask something else and I didn't hear
No,
you?
not yet. So
Oh.
just on our end, the video link at York just went off. I'm just going to keep going here. So just a few other things here. So in August of 24, you wound up on a three-way conversation with someone who you shouldn't have been on the phone with, right?
Yes, what happened with that was my daughter didn't know that, we weren't supposed to be like that, and she went in and she connected her phone to the other phone and she put the call through, but I alerted my daughter that that wasn't supposed to happen. So I wasn't aware that she was gonna do that either.
So I'm a little concerned about that because it's not possible to do a phone call that way.
I don't know how she did it. I know she happened to go in and connect the phone call. I don't know how she did it, but I did get in her case about it because at that time I was told that we're not supposed to do those things, and I told my daughter that she got me in trouble because of that. It was that one time, and I learned from my mistake on that.
just interesting because you can't call in from a prison. You can only call out.
I don't know how she did it, but she connected her, I don't know how she did it, but she was on the phone with him, I think, and I don't know what she did to connect the phone call. But I know she said, hold on a minute, and she said, listen, and then my son's voice came on, and that was it. And I told her that she wasn't supposed to do that. She got me in trouble.
So I'm just gonna continue to move on. You talked about that you were you go to Catholic services there, that you're
Yes.
engaged in Bible study, and that you've had a steady job for 4 years.
I worked in-
Commissary
Yes,
laundry, right?
I worked in commissary for 4 years, and then I started working as a laundry worker on my tier.
Yeah. How long you been doing that?
The laundry job I did for like 3-4 months.
And when was that? Now or before?
That was recently. We're in May. I did that, I think, from February, either January to April.
Okay. You also are involved in a program called Sisters Standing Strong.
Yes.
What's
How
that
you know?
program about?
It's about helping one another, helping each inmate ourselves, one another while we're here incarcerated, and trying to stand strong for one another.
Have you had any opportunities to stand strong for someone else there?
Maybe for a couple of bunkies that I had that were going through little things themselves. I would give them advice.
So there's there's a program here called Voices that you haven't had the opportunity to take, or that you started to take and then didn't complete.
No, I never took voices. They never spoke to me about voices. They told me that you gotta be signed up for that group. I never went to that group.
Okay. And if you are paroled, you want to come out with your daughter in Bridgeport, right?
Yes,
And maybe get a job at one of the local stores, right?
I really want to go back to Home Depot where I was working at. But if I can't make that, I would love to work in any other place. I wish it were what I was doing before, but I can't work security anymore.
Okay. I'm going to pass it along. The other board members have questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, panel member Smith Palmieri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And Ms. Martinez, I was listening to you describe, I want to go back to the offense itself, because, it is very concerning in reading the report, because it seems to me that there were a number of opportunities for you to intervene on behalf of your daughter-in-law and seek medical attention. And I looked through the transcript, and one comment by your attorney was that you let maternal instincts affect your decision-making. What did he mean by that?
I didn't understand the question.
Okay. So when I read through the information in the police report, the reports about the crime, there seems to me that there were numerous opportunities for you to call for medical attention. throughout the night, throughout the morning, when you returned from work, and that your son kept saying not to call the police because he would be blamed because of his domestic violence of history with the victim and the bruises that were on the victim. So my question to you is, when you were sentenced, your attorney said to the judge that you let your maternal, so your motherly instincts, affect your decision-making.
My motherly instincts interfere.
Yes, with making the right decision about your daughter-in-law. What do you think about that statement?
I really don't understand what he meant by that, because the reason why I didn't call the ambulance was really because I felt that Iris was just drunk, sleeping, and that she would have woken up like she did every afternoon, every day. She would drink and sleep all through 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, wake up, and then start drinking up again. But at no point in time was it that I purposely not call the ambulance or the 911. It was just because I felt that she was just sleeping. I didn't think that something was wrong with Iris.
Okay, all right. So, and that is what you state throughout the investigation, is that was what you believe was occurring. But throughout the investigation, there's also a number of statements made where your son says, do not call for medical help because they'll blame me. Do you recall all those conversations with your son?
At one point in time, my son said, no, he told me, don't call the ambulance because, Ma, I know my wife is going to be okay. My wife is going to be okay. And when the ambulance come, watch them think that I put all these bruises on my wife. And my son, the bruises weren't from my son. The bruises were from the dog jumping all over Iris all the time. And because she had cirrhosis, she would bruise very easily.
Okay, but so the theory, the reports read that you didn't want your son to get in trouble, which is why you delayed in calling for medical attention.
That I didn't want my son to get in trouble. That's not why I didn't call the ambulance. I didn't call the ambulance for the reason that I thought Iris was sleeping.
Okay.
I didn't think anything was wrong with Iris until I came back home from work. And I tried to wake her up, but she wasn't moving, she wasn't doing anything. So I grabbed my phone while I was holding her head on my arm. I grabbed the phone and I said, call 911, call ambulance, not 911. I should have said 911, but I said, call ambulance.
There's actually information that, yes, you're correct. You did not call 911. But rather you Googled a local company to come and pick her up so that 911 and so that the police would not be alerted.
No, I didn't know that by just picking up the phone and saying, call ambulance. I didn't know that it would be any kind of other ambulance, and I didn't know that the cops wouldn't show up by doing that. I just grabbed the phone. My instinct was grab the phone and call ambulance.
Okay.
It wasn't intentionally like that. I didn't want the police to come or the ambulance not to come.
Okay. Well, for the record, there's a lot of the police. There's quite a lengthy police report, and I'm sure you're aware of that police report.
Yes.
And throughout it, there seems to be very distinct timeframes where you were in the home and there was discussions between you and your son about not calling the ambulance because he would get into trouble. Not so
No.
much that you thought the victim was sleeping off her alcohol use, rather that not calling the ambulance because he would get in trouble. I mean, because there's indications that the victim had was vomiting, had foam coming from her mouth, there
No.
was blood coming. I think it was from her nose, if I read properly.
No, they wrote that wrong because when I gave the statement, I told them that she was slobbing, that I thought she was okay, but she was sleeping drunk because she seemed to be breathing and she was slobbing. I said slobbing, and I guess they thought I meant foaming, but she was never foaming through the mouth. She was slobbing.
All right. So my other question to you is, I was reading through the sentencing transcript again, and the judge, your attorney, made that statement about you're feeling like a protective mother, so you didn't call the ambulance right away. And when the judge asked you if you had anything to say, you said no. And actually, the judge seemed a little surprised that you would have nothing to say. At that time, I heard you apologize today, but why did you not take that opportunity in court to apologize?
You keep cutting off. Some of the stuff I heard, some of the stuff I didn't.
Okay, I'll start again.
I'm sorry.
No problem. So the victim,
Right.
the transcript says, when you were being sentenced, the judge asked you if you had anything to say, and you said no. So I'm interested to know why you did not take that opportunity to apologize to the victim's family.
It was just because I was at that point in time, there was so much going on at the same time with my grandkids there speaking, Iris's family and everything. And I was kind of nervous to get up and say what I needed to say. But after I came back, I thought all about it. And little by little, I kept writing little things down, which I wanted so bad to tell them right then and right there. But I was just nervous. It wasn't no other reason.
Okay. Are you aware that the autopsy says that the victim had no alcohol in her system?
No, the report that they gave, that I seen, it said that Ms. Lopez died of cirrhosis to the liver.
Well, I mean, there may have been evidence of that, but my read of the reports say that the victim had no alcohol in her system, and that had she gotten medical attention earlier, the likelihood, hold on, I want to make sure I say this correctly, that the likelihood of her recovering would likely have happened.
Oh, so there's two different reports, because the one that they showed us, it clearly said that Miss Lopez died of cirrhosis to the liver, and Iris was drinking that night. Every night Iris used to drink. I tried to sit there and help her not to drink, to stop the drinking, but it wasn't helping.
Okay, Ms. Martinez, I just want to say we're not here to talk about the struggles that the victim was having. What we're here to talk about today is the incident that led up to her ultimate death. And my notes say, if the victim had proper medical care, there's reasonable expectation of survival. So we read the report that had she got medical care early on, there is a reasonable expectation that she would have survived.
And that's where I feel so much remorse, regrets, where I didn't call the ambulance ahead of time.
So your son got a lesser sentence than you. Why do you think that is? You're serving 8 years. He got 5 years. Why do you think he got a lesser sentence?
No, I don't think he got I don't think he has more time than I do.
I'm looking at 5 years flat, 5 years, 10 years suspended after 5.
No,
Okay,
that's not what my lawyer told me. My lawyer told me he has 20 suspended after 10.
maybe they're consecutive. Hold on. Sentence to run. Okay, so there are 2 sentences running consecutive. Okay, my error. Sorry about that. I apologize.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. And my second question to you is, why did it take you so long to plead guilty to the case?
They only gave me one offer, two offers. That's the only thing they had gave me. They never came through with a different offer. And I guess because of the COVID thing, it took forever for them to come back through with another offer.
Yeah. How long have you been incarcerated?
I've been here almost 6 years.
All right, Ms. Martinez, thank you very much. I have nothing further.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. So I only had one question that I just wanted to ask, and then we're going to move on to some other things. Did you talk to the children after all this happened about what to tell the authorities?
No.
You didn't instruct them what to say, so
No.
you all had the same story?
No.
Okay. All right. So I did want to know, just for the record, Ms. Martinez, that the state's attorney's office is objecting, and they've submitted a document objecting to your release. You understand that?
No, I don't.
I'm letting you know now that they've submitted a document. The Connecticut State's Attorney's Office, they've submitted a document into the file here that we have on file. I just want it on the record that they are objecting to your release from incarceration, okay?
Why?
There's a document here. You could ask your counselor in there maybe if you want to read it or that kind of thing. But they're objecting to it. So I just want to notify you of that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to the Office of Victim Services, okay? So while this portion is going on, Ms. Martinez, what I would like to ask from you is that you can listen, but please do not interrupt or talk to any of the people that are speaking, and then we'll come back to you when we're done with the Office of Victim Services, okay? You can listen. Please don't interrupt.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Good morning, board members. We have 2 family members of the victim who are here via Teams today. And I am going to have one of them read their statements. This will be your opportunity to unmute yourself, turn on your camera if you wish to do so, and address the board members directly. You may begin.
Hello, members of the board. My name is, I am the victim's sister. I have a statement from my mother and from myself that I'd like to read to you today. Before I do that, if I may speak freely for a moment, I'd like to thank you very much for the thoroughness of your questions. As the inmate was speaking, there were so many dishonest points that she made, up to and starting with the apology that she offered. Never once in all these 6 years that she's been incarcerated, not through attorneys, never has she offered an apology. And now that she's in front of the board, she chose now to offer an apology to the family and to express any kind of remorse. So thank you first for being thorough, for addressing every question that came up in my mind as she was speaking, every dishonest moment that she mentioned. I believe all of you kind of touched on. You obviously have all the facts of the case in front of you. And with that said, I'd like to read my mother's statement first. Dear members of the board, this is from my mother. The tragic events of November 2018 were not the result of a single person's actions. Mercedes Martinez bears just as much responsibility for my daughter's death as Hector Lopez does, her son. She had countless opportunities to intervene, to seek help, to make a difference, but she chose not to. Instead, her focus remained on trivial household concerns, while mere feet away, my daughter was fighting for her life. Her negligence and inaction directly contributed to this devastating loss, and her role in these events cannot be overlooked. Granting her early release would be a grave injustice, undermining the seriousness of her choices and the profound, lasting consequences of her failure to act. Bear with me for a moment. I'm going to pull my statement up. I'm sorry, my voice is a little shaky.
It's okay. Take your time, Irene. Thank you.
Thank you. Members of the board, for nearly 6 years, my family has fought for justice in the wake of my sister's tragic death. When Mercedes Martinez was sentenced to 8 years just 3 months ago, we struggled with the outcome, but found some solace in the belief that we would at least have 2 uninterrupted years to begin healing, free from the distress of ongoing court dates and legal battles. Now, with the possibility of her early release, that fragile peace is being shattered. Instead of time to heal, we are once again thrust into uncertainty and turmoil. This abrupt decision to disregard the immense emotional toll we have endured and reopens wounds that had barely begun to close. Her release would not only disrupt the healing process, but would create chaos in a space where calm was just beginning to take hold. I urge you to consider the profound impact this would have on our family and to ensure that justice remains intact, offering us the time and stability we desperately need to move forward. And if I may speak freely one more time, the dishonesty that she has displayed here today, I hope speaks volumes to you about the type of person that she is, about what we can expect of her when she is released. There are protective orders against her grandchildren that I really don't feel confident that she would respect. And it's just going to create more disruption for them. So with that said, I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Chair and board members. This is all that I have for this case. Thank you, Irene and Norma.
Thank you very much for your statement. That was very brave to come forward and give us those powerful statements. So we're done with the Office of Victim Services now, Ms. Martinez. So we're going to deliberate. You can listen. Just ask that you don't interrupt during this time. And then when we're done, we'll give you our answer. Can you hear us still?
Yes.
Okay. Panel member Pohl.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So where we are here is that we have a great deal of information on this case in front of us, all of which, having been adjudicated, don't add up to what the applicant is saying here in this case. This case, the nature of this case, in itself, letting someone lie there and who is in need of severe, is in a severe state and needs desperate medical attention. It's what happened. It's just not okay, and it shows a callousness here that is just, it's just it was described in a way by the victim's family in this case. She rates out low. She, in terms of the assessments that we look at. However, even with that, if we look at programming, you know, she's had a job for 4 years while she's been in there. This case was just sentenced in February. She's been involved with Sisters Standing Strong, Catholic services, Bible study, and such. However, you know, it still doesn't go far enough to address what's here. You know, I don't see change. You know, in the sentencing transcript, as you pointed out, you know, there's an opportunity just a couple of months ago to express, you know, some kind of remorse or accountability or responsibility for just what was here, and that that didn't occur. So it's my belief that Ms. Martinez is not suitable for parole. That she needs to take these next 2 years, engage in programming, engage in rehabilitation services, reentry services, so she can come out of there and hopefully have the support and figure it out. So, you know, based upon the nature and circumstances, injury and impact to the victim, inadequate institutional program participation, and inadequate evidence of offender change, I cannot support parole today.
Thank you, panel member Poe. Panel member Smith Palmieri.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I agree with Mr. Pohl. You know, I think Ms. Martinez, especially since sentencing was just back in February, certainly had the opportunity to make the apology that she made today. You know, we don't really have the knowledge or, you know, the insight to know if the apology was genuine or not. But it seems to be that it could have been made at the time of sentencing. When you read the transcript, the judge was actually seemed a little bit surprised that she would have nothing to say. There's a lot of information on this case. All the information varies from Ms. Martinez's recollection of the events. There were many opportunities for her to step in, many opportunities presented that showed the victim was in distress. There's an indication that one of the children, you know, kept asking to call. So her recollection of the events are not the same as what's reported in the report. I also acknowledge, as Mr. Pohl pointed out, that Ms. Martinez does score low for risk to recidivate. She is 66 years old. She has really minimal criminal history. We would not really consider that because it was quite some time ago. But the nature and circumstances of the events, you know, I feel like we didn't quite get the level of remorse or accountability even that we would have needed to see to talk about offender change. So I also do not find Ms. Martinez suitable for discretionary parole. 5 years of probation.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
We're still deliberating.
Oh,
So, yeah, I agree with both of what you have said, and I get the family a lot of credit for coming forward and making those statements today. It wasn't long ago that they had to just do this before. So it's heartbreaking to hear what they've had to endure and go through all of this. It's taken years. And so I agree with both of what you have said. I have those same four reasons. Is there anything else we need to add before I make this motion?
No.
Okay. Alrighty. So in regards to Mercedes Martinez, inmate number 428-549, I make a motion to deny discretionary parole based on the nature and circumstances of the current offense, the injury and impact to the victim and the victim's family, inadequate evidence of offender change, and inadequate institutional program participation.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, Ms. Martinez, did you hear that last part?
I didn't understand the last part.
Okay, so after our deliberations and considering all of the information that was presented to us today, we could not find our way to grant you discretionary parole today. So your discretionary parole has been denied.
Okay, so what does this mean?
Well, you're gonna get all of this in writing. And then you'll be able to read through that and it'll have more of an explanation, okay? But you're denied discretionary parole for today, okay?
And what was it that you said that I could get from my counselor?
Well, you said that you wanted to know more about the state's attorney's objections.
Requested in writing.
You could request that in writing to your, to parole, and then they can provide you a copy of that notification where the state's attorney submitted a letter to us objecting to your early release.
So you said the court?
No, you could request it from the parole department. Just write a letter
No,
to parole.
but you said that who denied it?
They're not denying it. We make that decision here. The three of us that are here make that decision.
Oh, but you said,
They sent a letter saying that they object to you being released on early release. They're just offering their opinion, saying that they object. for us
this
to
was the
consider.
court? This was the courthouse?
State's Attorney's Office, yes. You can request a copy of that from the parole department. They'll give you that. Okay? Good luck.
Okay, so this means that the remaining 2 years I have to stay here?
Well, you'll have to talk to the counselor and everybody in DOC about that. That's up to DOC and how that's gonna work. But you did not get granted discretionary parole today.
All right,
Okay, good luck to you.
thank you for your time.
And if it couldn't get worse, it's like, get out of here. Nails on a chalkboard. If you weren't already pissed off to listen to her say, well, this is true, shut up. Shut up. It's not clear to me if the 4 children that were left behind, ages 10 to 20, from the woman who they were initially charged with, I think it was first-degree manslaughter. She had bruises all over her body, fresh and old. She did not have alcohol in her system. Yet the two-faced DA, what they do is they realize, and it just wouldn't have been a home run case. They like to prosecute cases that they know they can win because it makes their record look good. It makes it easier to get reelected. So they say, you know what? We don't have witnesses collaborating against each other. We can't get them to turn on each other. It will be a tough case in front of a jury, which I imagine it would be. It would probably a coin flip. So they do the plea deal. But it's not any kind of plea deal. It's a plea deal that allows this woman to get up for parole 3 months after the gavel hits the podium. The victims haven't even registered the sentencing when they have to show up to this parole hearing. They would have gotten a letter probably within a few weeks of the sentencing. Hey, guess what? You're coming up for parole. Now, the only solace to this case, I think, is that the parole board actually did a good job. The victim said, thank you for asking these type of questions. Mike Pohl, who else is surprised? Mike Pohl, out of all people, took his rose-colored glasses off and actually did a good thing for once. We can probably count on half of one hand how many times Mike Pohl has come through. although they should have shut her down at the beginning, especially knowing the victims are on the phone, and said, stop dragging the victim through the mud. You're saying that she drank herself to death? You're saying your only mistake was that you didn't call the ambulance further because your maternal instincts, which now she's playing like, I don't know what you're talking. They should have really railed into her. And for those of you who are not so familiar with this channel, I would think the same thing. Or maybe parole boards need to be objective. Maybe they can't speak what's on their mind, but that's not true. They can, when they want, speak what's on their mind. We have seen it from every state except Iowa. No, there was one case in Iowa where they spoke their mind, but that was only because it was someone involved in politics and they were offended by that. It wasn't a chomo or anything. I don't know if you remember that case. You know, what seems to me what happened, and maybe this was the DA's theory, and again, this is just, as Dr. Grande says, right? This is just my opinion, my thoughts, because, they went through court, they took their deal, so this is only my opinion on what could have happened. But it seems that she was stuck in this violent, abusive relationship with her husband. Now, again, I don't know if the kids are their kids, and that means it's their grandkids, her grandkids. And remember, he has a restraining order. And by the way, we're going to cover his parole hearing. I imagine, because he got 10 years, and in Connecticut, you can get 50% eligibility. And because of the time served, because this happened in 2018, I imagine we're going to see him this year. So make sure to check the return of playlist. He might be coming up any day now for parole. And I'll play that for you. The restraining orders, 3 violation of restraining orders that he had in his conviction, I don't think that was related to restraining order against the wife, the victim. I imagine that those were things that happened while they were in jail with phone calls, right? So those are charges that they added on while he was probably talking to his mother illegally or his kids illegally or whatever, right? That's my guess. So they could have gotten him they could have stacked up and her all these years just on all the different charges combined, right? They could have probably won in the jury by charging her with everything and then doing the maximum that legislation allows and giving her more time, but they don't, because it's a two-faced DA, right? They do this plea deal, and then the DA writes a letter, which one thing that we've learned from this, which is great, is that the DA in Connecticut can write letters. How often have we heard the parole board in Connecticut say the DA wrote a letter in objection? I think this is not for special hearings like Act 23-169 where the DA shows up. For regular parole hearings, I think this is the first time out of 500 hearings that we've covered, the worst chomos, the worst murderers, the worst monsters. This is, I think, the first time, which is remarkable. And they probably only felt pressure to do it because the case made the news and it happened just 3 months ago. But again, two-faced DA, write a letter. You shouldn't have done the deal. You should have taken this to trial. You should have taken the chance. You could have gone her on lesser charges. What would have been the worst outcome? She wouldn't, the idea that she would have gotten out any, it's just, you're talking about anyways, 2 years. You took the plea deal. She's getting out in 2 years anyways on time served. So go to trial. Go to trial. You're playing with house money, but they don't, because they don't want to have a loss on their record. That's my opinion. But they should have gone for justice, because what you have here, and this is where I got sidetracked, just my opinion, is a woman who was beaten to death. There is no alcohol in her system. You have a woman that was beaten to death. And as she lay dying, they did nothing. As she laid dying, they tried covering their tracks. As she lay dying, they sat and twiddled their thumbs. Then when they finally realize, oh no, she's dead, they don't call 911. They call a service hoping that they won't get in trouble. Then they erase their text messages. I mean, they have every type. I don't know if you can't win this case, DA. And even remember at her sentencing, she didn't even apologize. Someone who shows no empathy, shows no remorse, takes no accountability while in prison is violating restraining orders and whatnot and doing three-way calls. And if you can't make it your cause to say, I'm going to go to trial and I'm going to win this case because it's the right thing to do, then what the hell are you doing? Just go get another job. And instead of prosecuting this to the fullest, someone who takes another person's life, her son, he'll be coming up for parole soon. And he's probably going to get out anyways because he only got 10 years. He's probably going to get out in 2018. That's 5, 6. Anyways, in 3 years. How can a life be lost? A mother of 4 be taken, beaten in a domestic abuse case, in my opinion. And then she has the audacity to say that she drank herself to death, which is a complete lie. 100% fabrication. There was no alcohol in her system. I'm no expert in this, but I can't imagine there's ever been a time in the history where an alcoholic died sober. I mean, I guess maybe there's complications if they're withdrawal. That could be a case, I guess. All right. I'm sure there's an exception to everything, but you get my point. I don't know if you hear an echo. I changed my room and it's good and all, but I gotta hang something on the wall. This echo is driving me nuts. So I'm pissed off. We can go over some of the information. Thank you, Lady Holly. Stanford woman pleads guilty in daughter-in-law's death, gets 8 years in prison. Again, this is all part of, and remember, this is written December 12, 2024. The case Dates back to November 2018. Her parole hearing took place May 16th. So let's just go through it. The Stanford one took a plea deal Thursday, will be sentenced to 8 years in prison for a role in her daughter-in-law's death. Mercedes Martinez, 66, showed no emotion as she responded guilty, and she still showed no emotion today, except for herself, over and over again in connection with the death of Iris Lopez, just 36. Police said the mother of 4 died after Martinez, her son Hector, failed to get his wife the medical help she needed. Martinez's appearance in Stanford Superior Court about 6 weeks after Lopez, 48, took the plea deal. The case dates back to November 2018 when Stanford police responded to Southwood Square apartments where Lopez lived with their kids and Martinez. Police found Iris Lopez unconscious and covered in bruises, new and old bruises, according to the arrest warrant. Iris Lopez was rushed to the hospital but died from a brain bleed due to blunt force head trauma, the warrant says. Police blamed the lack of timely emergency care and said that Martinez and Hector Lopez put off calling for help, even Iris Lopez's conditions as her conditions got worse. I mean, again, there's no other way to put this. How did she get the brain bleed? Oh, no, she fell. Like, what are they? This is what's so frustrating about these cases. It's been 6 long years waiting for nothing, Norma said, and Lopez's mother. On Thursday, there was, and talking about the victims, they spoke so elegantly, so well. On Thursday, there was finally movement in the case. Martinez pled guilty to a reduced charge of intentional cruelty to persons, along with charges of hindering prosecution, tampering with evidence, and 3 counts of risk of injury to a minor. And I don't know, I'm guessing this is because of her 3 kids that were minors in the house at the time that this was happening. In exchange, she'll get 15 years in prison. And this is part of the gaslighting. 15 years. We all know it's not 15 years. Suspended after she serves 8. You see it? It's again a gimmick. It's such a gimmick. Followed by 5 years probation. If Martinez violates probation, she could face up to another 7 years. It's just such a joke. The whole, and we've seen this 1,000 times, right? We've seen, it's just not true. They violate all the time and they get small sanctions. They don't ever have to serve their full sentence. If you've seen this channel enough, you've seen those revocation hearings. They get a 3-month penalty. They never have to serve their full. We just covered a case yesterday. Check the return of playlist if you haven't seen it, where he caught new charges, received a fresh 10-month sentence, and was still not revoked to serve the 2 years that he owed. They let him out after he finished that new 10-month sentence. So it's all a gimmick, and we know that. It's not just a gimmick's not even the proper word. It sounds too childish. It is a gaslighting of victims. Now, and the community as a whole. Supervisory Assistant State's Attorney Michelle Manning told the court that while Martinez was initially charged with manslaughter, the state opted to downgrade the charge and make a plea after reviewing the evidence. So he was initially charged with manslaughter. Meeting with witnesses and learning of potential legal issues with manslaughter charge. Potential legal issues. Even these words, potential legal issues, all they're saying is that there's no guarantee a jury will find him guilty, which is welcome to the court system. This is why you took your job. If you can't get a guilty plea with this, if you're afraid to lose, get another job. It's like, where's your competitive nature? If I was a prosecutor and I saw the callousness in this woman, I would make it my passion to teach, to put her where she belongs. If she was genuinely remorseful and she manipulated me, maybe a different story. But this, she's such an she didn't apologize at her sentencing. She didn't even make an attempt. How do you not have the urge to throw her? We could hear from the attorney. You want to hear from the attorney? Let's see. See if we can pull it up. Let's see. You can see her prince son over there. This is the victim's attorney. Actually, the victim. This is Mercedes' attorney. Well, let's go finish this.
Happy with the deal. I think it's far too much time for her role in the offense. She made some mistakes. I don't think she's the cause of what happened. She's remorseful for sure.
No, she's
Martinez told police that on the day of the incident, Iris Lopez fell and hit her head in their apartment. The prosecution said she was unresponsive, but Hector Lopez and his mother didn't call for help. Martinez finally did 12 hours later, but called a private ambulance, not 911.
They knew the state that the victim was in, and they stopped her from getting any aid out of fear that Mr. Lopez would be blamed.
Hector Lopez took a plea deal in the case last month. It's for 10 years in prison, followed by 5 years probation. Iris Lopez's family wanted both defendants to serve more time, but told News 12 it's important for the case to finally come to an end.
We weren't pleased with the outcome, but nothing is going to bring my daughter back. Nothing will bring her back, but we want closure.
Martinez and Hector Lopez will be sentenced together on February 26th. That way, Iris Lopez's loved ones will only have to give their victim impact statements.
Right? More of the gaslighting. It's so they only have to give their victim impact statement once. No one knows. No one knows. Imagine if this newscast actually said, wait a minute, actually, she's going to show up for parole in 3 months. They're going to be there again. They're not going to know whether she'll get out. Yeah, like again, it's just unimaginable. People don't know this. People who don't, no one knows this till you actually dive in and see it for yourself. In October, Hector pled guilty to criminal negligent homicide. This is what he pled guilty to: criminal negligent homicide, intentional cruelty to a person, 3 counts of violation of a protective order. And I'm guessing that these were against his three children. I don't know. After the case, again in prison, these are guesses. 4 counts of risk of injury to a minor. His deal calls him to serve 10 years in prison, followed by 5 years of probation. He could face up to 10 more years if he violates probation. So I think they were wrong, because she got, remember in the case where they were saying, wait a minute, how come you got more time? She got 15 years suspended after she served 8. So she got, on paper, she did get the tougher sentence, but she's getting out earlier because of it's suspended. He gets 10 years. Yeah, he only got 10. He did get less. And because Connecticut has a 50% parole eligibility for most crimes, sometimes the parole board will have these private hearings, not private, but these little hearings where they'll I don't understand, but they can like sometimes make it a 70% eligibility. I've heard them. I've played them for you. They're like 2-minute long hearings where they'll talk about a case and set their eligibility. But I think we're going to see him any day now, unless they for some reason set it at a later. But even then, he served 7 years. No, we're going to see him. We're going to see him any day now. And that's for criminal negligent homicide. We weren't pleased with the outcome, but nothing is going to bring our daughter back. Nothing will bring her back, but we want closure. And that's it. They were basically, I think, pressured into it. Her kids now ages 10 to 24. That means the kids at the time would have been 3 years old. There would have been probably 3 of them under 10, something like that. I don't know. There you have it. What a piss off. And with that, I'll leave you with the final words from the victim.
Members of the board, for nearly 6 years, my family has fought for justice in the wake of my sister's tragic death. When Mercedes Martinez was sentenced to 8 years just 3 months ago, we struggled with the outcome, but found some solace in the belief that we would at least have 2 uninterrupted years to begin healing, free from the distress of ongoing court dates and legal battles. Now, with the possibility of her early release, that fragile peace is being shattered. Instead of time to heal, we are once again thrust into uncertainty and turmoil. This abrupt decision to disregard the immense emotional toll we have endured and reopens wounds that had barely begun to close. Her release would not only disrupt the healing process, but would create chaos in a space where calm was just beginning to take hold. I urge you to consider the profound impact this would have on our family and to ensure that justice remains intact, offering us the time and stability we desperately need to move forward.